$52 million doesn't sound like, oops, we messed up kind of money. To me, that sounds like you crossed a line kind of money and got caught.
That's because it is. Juries don't hand out huge money award numbers like that unless they're upset about the specifics of the case. And when juries get mad, it's usually because they believe workers were treated unfairly by the company they work for.
So before we even get into the law, this already tells me the jury didn't buy the company's explanation. This verdict came from a California jury who awarded roughly $52 million to a group of truck drivers and yard workers who alleged they were retaliated against after raising safety, wage, and regulatory concerns at Sysco, one of the nation's largest food distribution companies.
Exactly. And truck drivers everywhere need to hear this, because too many good people think speaking up about an issue automatically means you'll be branded as a troublemaker by the employer. And that is downright wrong. This verdict stems from a lawsuit filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court against Sysco Riverside and their parent company, Sysco Corporation. In this lawsuit, multiple plaintiffs accused company managers of fostering a culture of intimidation toward employees who reported unsafe and illegal practices.
Chapter 1. What happened in the Sysco whistleblower case?
All right, let's dig into this. Who were these truck drivers, and what actually happened in this case to warrant a trial with this huge verdict as the end result? According to court documents, the employees, many of whom had worked at Sysco for years, or in some cases had worked for Sysco for decades, at a location in Riverside, California, raised concerns related to yard safety, excessive working hours, falsified time records, food safety violations, and retaliation for contacting regulators, including OSHA and the Labor Commission.
Based on reporting, this case involved 5 former employees from Sysco's Riverside, California operation. They claimed they were retaliated against after raising safety concerns, and those who worked at the Sysco Riverside facility said they were pressured to move trucks and trailers quickly through crowded yards, sometimes at unsafe speeds, and to maintain tight schedules that prioritized efficiency over safety. They also said they were told to load perishable food into trailers that were not properly refrigerated.
Wow. Unreal stuff, Jim. I hope no bad food ended up in my cupboard. So this sounds like it didn't come from just one disgruntled employee. This is eye-opening to say the least, Jim, because Sysco ain't some small mom-and-pop business. They operate nearly 1,500 power units and employ over 1,700 drivers, and that's according to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration records. Sysco is a much larger company than I thought they were. In fact, they currently have 340 distribution centers located across 10 different countries.
5 people told similar whistleblower stories at the trial, and the jury believed them. At the heart of the lawsuit were allegations that Sysco retaliated against drivers and workers who refused to participate in or had reported those unsafe or BS practices, which were clearly against the law. The employees said retaliation included reduced hours, harassment, surveillance, discipline, termination, and constructive discharge. One of the most striking facts for jurors to consider, came out in testimony, was how the company actually rewarded a supervisor that was accused of orchestrating the retaliation on Sysco's behalf. After all of these people complained about the various unsafe and unlawful things happening, it still continued to go on, and Sysco actually promoted that supervisor to a director's position. And get this, he's still the warehouse director there at that location.
Give me a second to lift my jaw off my chest. Totally unreal, which means the jury wasn't just compensating lost wages or emotional distress. There were 2 important factors in this case, Jim. Getting these whistleblowers compensation for what they went through, and the second factor was stopping this behavior at Sysco. They didn't want other truck drivers to have to go through what they went through.
Right. Punitive damages mean punishment. It's the jury saying they want to make sure this doesn't happen again. The jury found that Sysco had violated the section of the California Labor Code, which covers the state's whistleblower protection statute. The law prohibits retaliation against employees who report or oppose illegal activity, even when complaints are made internally.
And the case itself goes back several years. According to records, it was originally filed back in 2020. That's another thing drivers need to understand. Retaliation cases take time. Companies involved in these type of shenanigans love to stall the proceedings as much as they can. Their hope is to wait it out and see if it will mysteriously go away. They file appeal after appeal, anything to prolong the proceedings. Their overall game plan is the hope that the whistleblower will give up and go away, or drop dead somewhere in the process.
Chapter 2: What whistleblower retaliation looks like in trucking.
When drivers hear retaliation in the trucking industry, they usually think it's only about getting fired. But that's not always how it happens, is it? In the trucking industry, whistleblower retaliation often occurs when a trucking company or employer takes adverse action against a driver for engaging in protected activities, such as reporting safety violations or refusing to drive in unsafe conditions. This falls under the Surface Transportation Assistance Act, which makes these actions totally illegal.
Getting fired isn't the only version of how retaliation takes place. Most retaliation is sneaky. It's the slow squeeze. What happens in a lot of cases is this: when the company wants to get rid of a driver or any employee that works for them, they will build a case against that employee. The company will start to nitpick with bad reviews or with written warnings. This way they can defend firing the individual for cause.
This strategy on the company's part is meant to document wrongdoing on the employee's part and create just cause. The real reason they do it this way is make sure they have evidence against the driver in case the company is hauled in front of an unemployment hearing.
You report unsafe brakes or an equipment issue, the company rolls their eyes at you. And the next thing you know, your miles go down, or you start getting shitty loads, or you find yourself getting written up for stuff nobody cared about before. And suddenly you're being referred to as not being a team player.
Chapter 3: The law that protects truck drivers who speak up.
The law meant to protect drivers against trucking companies is called the Surface Transportation Assistance Act. It protects drivers who report safety violations or refuse to operate unsafe equipment. If a driver refuses a load because the truck or the trailer has mechanical issues, he or she can be protected. Now, it goes without saying that it has to be a legitimate safety concern.
The complaints, if escalated by the driver or the employee, will then go through the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which everyone simply calls OSHA. Any discrimination tied to the safety complaint can qualify. That's why these cases can get pretty complicated, and it's also why companies think they can hide it and get away with doing it. Unfortunately for Sysco, this jury didn't think they hid their shady actions very well.
Chapter 4: Why this $52 million verdict should matter to every driver out there.
Jim, let me play the devil's advocate and ask you this. Is this Sysco case rare in nature? And do you think the huge monetary penalty of $52 million will act as a deterrent and actually change trucking company behavior?
The verdict in this case will definitely change behavior at the top. Executives at big multinational companies don't care about a small number like $50,000. However, they do care about $52 million, so I am quite sure this message will reverberate its way around the trucking industry and raise some eyebrows.
Chapter 5: What drivers should do if this type of behavior starts happening to them.
So Jim, let's say a driver comes upon a safety-related issue or something that he or she knows is not lawful and speaks up about it to the company. Then the driver or employee realize that they are suddenly being treated differently. What should they do?
I would recommend getting a journal or diary and start documenting everything. Log all dates, times, and names along with a description of exactly what happened. Treat it like evidence from day one, because that is exactly what it is, especially if what took place feels small in nature. Always keep in mind that retaliation cases are built on patterns, and not simply on one incident.
A reminder to all of my friends out there, your life matters more than a delivery window. If you've ever been pressured to run unsafe or punished for reporting it, tell us about it in the comments below. Drivers need to hear they're not alone. And if you want real trucking news, not corporate spin, hit our subscribe button. Well, my friends, be safe out there and remember to keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down.
Take care, my friends. Remember to protect your load, protect your rig, and protect yourself. Leave us a comment below with your thoughts and ideas. If it's a good idea, we will share it with everyone. Subscribe for more trucking truth, and together we'll keep hammering this issue till somebody listens.